Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you think about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. On this episode of Conversations with Nicole, Paula DeBoles-Johnson, the chair of the Tallahassee-Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, discusses women and girls empowerment, as well as the CSWG's upcoming summit entitled Ignite the Power Within. Let's listen in on the conversation. So Paula, you are the chair of the Tallahassee-Leon Commission on Women and Girls. And tell me what that group does.
So the Tallahassee-Leon Commission on the Status of Women and Girls is a joint effort between both the city and county commission. There are 21 volunteers whose mission is to bring forth those issues that impact women and girls in the Leon-Tallahassee community. So we have dynamic women, business owners, educators, lawyers, those of us that work in state government. We've all come together to make sure that both commissions know what the needs are of women and girls in our community.
Excellent. And how are those women selected?
Well, there's a three-way process. You can come through the CSWG, and that process is kind of maintained through the Oasis Center for Women and Girls. You can also be brought on through the city or county. So the mayor or one of the commissioners can go ahead and submit your name, and you go through an application process. And if you're selected, you can become one of us.
Okay, excellent. So you all are about the business of establishing policy or recommending policy.
Recommendations.
Yes, recommending policy that has women in mind. What's y'all's focus this year?
So we've been doing a lot of different things, but this year we're concentrating on finalizing the last piece of Year of the Girls, which was an initiative that was started last year under our former chair, Sharon James. It was under her administration. So we've highlighted 12 girls thus far over the, 11 girls, 12 girls this month, over the course of the year. So these are girls that do great things in the community. They're great students. They're great role models. So we wanted to celebrate them. So we give them this huge gift baskets with a lot of treats. We go out to their schools and we celebrate the great young women they are and the great leaders they are becoming. We are also happy to introduce our summit that's coming up. So I don't know if you're going to ask me about that later or you want me to launch into that.
Look, jump on it.
It's Ignite the Power Within, and we are so excited about it.
You're not excited about that.
We are super excited about this. We have been working really hard over the last few months. Our plan is to convene 300 women and girls on the campus of Tallahassee Community College on April 14th from 9 to 3.
Wow.
So in this day, we'll have team building, we'll have great speakers, great food, entertainment. It's going to be a blast. We have a great lineup of speakers already. So we have Judge Nina Richardson, she's on board. We have Heidi Otway, Elizabeth Reese, we have Robin Hassler Thompson, Dr. Jodrika Spites Brown. I always seem to get that wrong, but I know who she is.
You sound like you did it good.
Oh, yes, I hope so. And we will also have you joining us, and that is also one of those workshops that we're super excited about. So you will have a chance to talk to the ladies. We'll have a chance to connect as women and talk about those issues that are important to us. So if you're a Leon County school student, your absences are automatically excused if you fill out your pre-excused form. For our ladies, the cost is $20. That covers food. But if they're having problems paying that $20, they don't have to not come. We have scholarships available.
Excellent.
So we want all of the women right there in that spot on next Friday.
So why do you think this event is important? What's the importance of women and girls coming together in a summit to hear about the various sundry topics that will be presented?
I think it's important for a number of reasons. One, there's just a lot of negativity on the national scene, and I'm not going to bring that into the forefront. But what we want girls to see is that there are women leading things. There are powerful women that are doing great things in our community. And what's important is for them to see these leaders, talk to these leaders, know that they're approachable. You can see them in Publix, you can see them at the library. And also knowing that these women are there to help them. All they need to do is ask. But we will be in one place so that they can have a conversation with them. And I think as women, we don't have enough of an opportunity just to kind of connect and talk to one another. We have great resources. We have great ladies that are doing amazing things. And sometimes it's just that conversation, being able to sit down for a minute and say, you do what? And that way you can connect and you can talk about sharing those resources. I think all of these things are critical for women.
They are. You know, I'm all about conversation and connecting people through conversation.
And I love that.
So I'm so excited about this too. This segment is brought to you by Brown & Brown Attorneys at Law. Stay tuned for more conversations. You know, oftentimes we don't sit down and take the time to, share and exchange ideas. So this is critical.
Absolutely.
So as it relates to the commission, what other activities do you all do throughout the year?
So if I could possibly go back just a little bit, last year we celebrated 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And what's a little bit concerning is that people don't always know that we're here. We are here. We're a resource. And it shows that both the city and county are really concerned about what happens with our women and girls. This isn't the norm to have two commissions come together and create something like us. So in this work, we've had great leaders that pull together information that have changed workplace policies.
Really?
Related to sexual harassment. We've had organizations being stood up, and one that I'm talking about in particular is with Jessica Low Minor. Jessica and her group did a lot of work with sexual violence. So there have been a lot of great information that has come through our work, and what we do is compile that information. We have groups where girls get together and tell us what they need, what they see, what they want. We do the same thing with women. So these women have done a lot of work over the last 5 years. I'm in the middle of my year 6, and I'm still like a deer in the headlights because there's so much that they have done. So it's not a competition, but I want to get it right, and I don't want to misstep. So I have a lot of great role models that are kind of helping to push this forward. And what we want people to know is that we are there, we're a resource, and we want to hear from them. We don't want to assume that we know what women and girls want. They need to tell us. And I think all of us are pretty approachable.
Do you do a survey of girls and women? Or?
So in the past, we would convene groups. So we would go out to the schools, we would meet at Oasis, we would meet at the library or community centers like Palmer Monroe. And the girls that were there, we'd just sit and have a conversation much like we're having now.
Excellent.
And we would ask a series of questions, and then we would have guided discussions to kind of figure out what was going on in their lives. So we'll also have an opportunity to do that at the summit this year, because the other part of this work, we're going to have a status of girls report. We've been working on this, and it's a huge lift. We've been working on it for about 1.5 years now. So at the end of this year, hopefully towards the end of spring, we will have this great piece of information that tells us what's happening with girls right here in our community.
Now, will this be based on the group meetings that you've had?
Yes, that'll be a combination of those meetings and the information that we will gather from the summit, just the information that we've been compiling over the last 1.5 years.
Okay. And what type of information will you be compiling at the summit?
We want to keep that part a secret, so that when everybody sees this broadcast, they're not already thinking in their minds how they're going to answer that question. So if you would allow me a point of personal privilege and not share that right now. But it is, all the surveys are always anonymous. And it's nothing that would lead to other things that need to happen. It's just really, what resources would you like to see here? What's happening with social media? as a young person, what do you want to do with your life? What inspires you? Who inspires you? How do you get there? Do you know how to get there? And those are some of the things, but not quite the exact questions.
Okay, well, I thank you for sharing a little snippet with us.
Thank you.
So how does one get involved with the summit?
So all they have to do is go to the OASIS website. They can find our information there, or they can go to the Tallahassee Leon Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. We're on Facebook. They can Google it, or they can just go to Eventbrite and look for Ignite the Power Within. It's in Tallahassee, and just register. Or they could always call me, 850-339-3734.
Okay, well, they got it all right from you.
I hope so.
Yes, ma'am.
We want every woman in Tallahassee there. Now, we are going to have to cap it at 300.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time today, and I look forward to being at the summit.
Thank you for having me.
Igniting the Power.
Within.
All right.
Come on, ladies and girls.
Okay. Stay tuned for more conversations. This segment is brought to you by Brown & Brown Attorneys at Law. Stay tuned for more conversations. Welcome back. Joining me now is Marcia Warfel, a commissioner for the CSWG. Welcome, Marcia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So how long have you been on the commission?
I started in 2014, so it's been a couple of years now.
Okay. And what are some of the projects that you all have worked on?
Initially, we were working on several projects, but one of the biggest projects was probably launching our big annual report, which was a big compilation of issues that were surrounding women and girls here in our community, primarily women and girls in every age group. And it was a big overarching task because we were trying to tackle every issue from poverty, sexual violence, bullying, every issue, and we compiled it in this really big annual report. And what we were trying to do with that was just trying to gather a baseline for the issues that were surrounding women and girls here in our community. And from that, we were able to tackle just a few of the issues, maybe the top 3, and present those to our county and city commissioners on recommendations that we could do to enforce some of the policy changes that might affect women and girls here in our community.
Okay, and what were some of those, what were those top 3 issues at the time?
The big 3 that we found were transportation was one of the big issues for women in our community. Obviously, you know, one of the issues that we have is that our transportation system, our bus lines only go a certain route and a certain distance. So that was in effect. Another was lighting at bus stops and different issues that women were facing with just public transportation, and especially moms, single mothers trying to get to and from work. So simple, basic ideas that we wouldn't have thought of until we delved into some of the issues surrounding some of the women and girls in our community. And from that, we undertook some of the process into look into surveys to see if we can get some more information from women abroad, over a broad spectrum of women in our community. And our commissioners decided to go to some of those public areas where we can get that good feedback on our surveys and then present those to the commission. And we were able to get some good recommendations out of that in order to move some legislation forward.
Wow, that's great. So what's the value for you in being on the commission?
Oh, the value for me, I think it's empowering women and girls.
Okay.
It's something that I hold dear to my heart. It was one of the main reasons why I joined. I'm a single mother, and I wanted to be a role model to my daughter. And I think the best way is to really take action in doing what you believe in, and trying to get as much information out there to really try to make women their best that they can be, and a true transformation of themselves, a true version, authentic selves of themselves. And I'm hoping through the commission we can empower women with some of the tools, knowledge, and things and issues or resources that they might need that can help them in their journey.
So Nicole, are there any specific issues that you would like to see the commission cover?
Well, one of the big issues that the commission has tried to tackle is the national issue on sexual violence. And out of that, since we are a city that has 2 universities, the Florida State University and FAMU universities, we decided that as a commission that we should try and tackle some of these issues that were actually affecting the very community we live in. And sexual violence, unfortunately, was an issue that was happening during the highlight of this national issue. At that point, the commission chair, Jessica Lowe Minor, decided to take on that issue and actually set up a committee separate from the commission, strictly to focus on the sexual assault.
So like a subcommittee?
A subcommittee focused on actually looking at policy recommendations that we could present to the commission following bringing all the stakeholders together. We brought stakeholders from not only law enforcement, but private sector, public sector, all of them together in one room, anyone that had anything to do with sexual violence. The issue primarily is we were thinking of the victim, thinking of how the victim would have to tell their story over and over again, and how traumatic that could be. And we were trying to see how we could minimize that issue, how we can streamline maybe some of the questions, how we can minimize some of the harsh effects that are already affecting that victim. One of the things we did find is that actually having maybe a room that was more comfortable for the women primarily that were impacted, or girls, made them feel safer, more comfortable in a safer zone. And we tried to, at the law enforcement center, recreate something that could be beautiful and feminine and attractive and comfortable for the women during their investigative process. In addition to that, we found some loopholes, some things that were affecting the women and girls, and it's how the communication from case to case wasn't effectively being communicated, perhaps from FDLE to a sheriff's office or to your local law enforcement. So it was trying to see how we can stream those effects. And the good thing is that we were able to find some loopholes, and we had those stakeholders at the table. So it was wonderful that once we did the recommendation, which was a little bit of maybe we need to have more investigators, or maybe how can we, is there a tool, a software that we can use to make it easier? And we're able to come up with some ideas and some things that could effectively make those recommendations. And one of them was actually bringing more law enforcement with specific attention to victim assistance care.
The commission has a summit coming up.
Yes.
And there are several speakers that will be there to talk about issues that are relative to women and girls. Who are some of the folks that will be there that you're excited about?
Oh, I'm excited of so many, but Heidi Ottaway is one of my favorites. She's with Salter Mitchell. It's a public relations firm here. It's one of the top public relations firms in Tallahassee. And she brings that communication level to women, how they can express themselves in an effective way. Because we notice that girls so many times are affected in our community by social media, or by just their presence on how they communicate with adults or seniors or other professionals in the community. So I'm really excited about what Heidi has to say to some of the women and girls in our community, and see how they can enhance their presence in the community and make the best version of themselves. So that's one of them, yes, definitely.
Wonderful. I know there's been a push for girl power and empowering women to just be great.
That's right.
You know, just embrace your womanhood and your femininity and not feel like you're less than.
That's right.
And I know that's part of what the summit will be about as well, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Major issues that we're tackling are some of the issues that we mentioned before. It's all about wellness and self-care and empowerment and leadership, and what do I do next? What are my next steps, especially for those women and for those girls that are in high school and transitioning from high school into college? What are they going to do? And so helping to answer some of those questions of what am I going to do and how can I get there and what's the most effective way I can. We have topics such as mentoring, career development, leadership, all those good things that women and girls need to know about, especially in their development process. So I'm really excited about that.
That is
It's gonna be
wonderful.
great.
Well, I think it's going to be a great summit too. I'm looking forward to it. And I
Yes.
want to thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on Conversations with Nicole. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Nicole, where we connect the community through conversation. For more information on this or previous shows, visit Conversations with Nicole on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I am Nicole Everett, and we'll see you next time.
Conversations with Nicole. Come and have a little talk with me. Conversations with Nicole. Come on and speak to me. Conversations with Nicole. Talk about the issues of the world. Conversations with Nicole. Have a conversation with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Conversations with Nicole, where we're connecting the community through conversations. Thursday at 11:30 a.m. on Fox Tallahassee.
Conversations